And meanwhile, by contrast, what were the House Democrats doing? Well, they held an emergency meeting to determine how to think about the successful ousting of an illegitimate narco-terrorist dictator who killed dissidents, poisoned Americans, and plunged 90% of his country into abject poverty. Nicolas Maduro, who the Biden administration placed a $25 million bounty on, is no longer terrorizing the people of Venezuela anymore. I'm so grateful for Congressman Jimenez, who came in to share his perspective as a South Floridian and Miami person, resident. They understand this as acutely as anybody. Because the action was taken by President Trump, Democrats are apoplectic. They claim they didn't like Maduro either, but because President Trump took action, as was noted earlier, they're now critical of it. They're going to cut off their own nose to spite their face. This is the modern Democrat Party. Instead of a caucus-wide therapy session, how about Democrats acknowledge that it's a fundamentally good thing for freedom-loving people around the world that Maduro is gone? And I want to reiterate what I said following our Gang of Eight briefing yesterday, which was the 20th such briefing by the Trump administration to Congress regarding Venezuela. And there's more scheduled this week, as you know, in about an hour or so, to 45 minutes. All the members of Congress are going to meet in the CVC auditorium, and all the administration officials are going to brief them on this issue. The U.S. military operation in Venezuela was decisive and justified. Nicolas Maduro was responsible for the deaths of Americans after years of trafficking illegal drugs and violent cartel members into this country, and this is undisputed, and everybody knows it. These are crimes for which he's been properly indicted in a U.S. court, and an arrest warrant was duly issued, and now he has learned what accountability looks like under President Trump. The U.S. is no longer going to allow criminal regimes to profit from wreaking havoc and destruction on our country. That's what the American people voted for. They wanted a return to the rule of law, insanity at the border, and they wanted this kind of nonsense and dangerous activity to stop. Republicans are putting Americans first and succeeding where others have failed. The operation demonstrated the unmatched, by the way, precision, effectiveness, professionalism, and capacity of the U.S. military. There's no fighting force on the planet capable of doing what we can do. And you should sleep well at night knowing that you live under the blanket of that protection. Our brave military was in and out of Venezuela in 2.5 hours, and there wasn't a single American casualty. It's really something that everybody should respect and applaud. And because I'm sure you'll have questions, I'm going to be clear. The Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war. There's no dispute about that, of course. But we are not in a war in Venezuela. The Constitution also vests the president with the power as commander-in-chief that he can use to deploy military forces to address threats to the U.S. and enforce our laws. And that's what happened here. It's exactly what happened here. The War Powers Act has been cited by Democrats. It only requires notification to Congress within 48 hours of the initiation of hostilities. It does not require prior approval, and they properly notified Congress. And I've mentioned publicly, Secretary Rubio called me at 4 a.m. To notify the Speaker of the House of what was taking place and why. Despite the claims, by the way, they submitted that to us in writing as well. They checked all the boxes, did everything they were supposed to do. Despite the claims by some of my colleagues under the War Powers Act, there's just not a requirement that they do anything